let's talk about Jam. Jam is a very popular character in the Guilty Gear franchise. Jam is a highly mobile rushdown character with a unique mechanic that allows her to empower her own specials. I, personally, have wanted Jam in the game since the start of the game. And while she's not exactly the same, like, come on, it's Strive, she was never going to be the same, I can safely say that this character is super fun. Like, oh my god, I've enjoyed her so much. I played so much of her, in fact, that I managed to get her into Vanquisher on the first day, which is why this video is like a day late. But it does mean that I have all the juicy tech that you could ever want. Well, okay, not all of it, but I definitely know enough about the character to let you guys know exactly how to play her extremely efficiently. We can't talk about Jam without going over her cards. Now, okay, they're not really cards in this game, they're more orbs, but the community refers to them as cards. This is Jam's unique mechanic. She has 3 special moves that she's able to empower a single time. By pressing down with kick, slash, or heavy slash, she performs Asanagi no Kokyu, which will cause her to do an animation, with her ending by empowering one of her 3 special moves. The icons on the special moves are actually relative to the buttons that you would press if you wanted to empower them. If you were to hold down the empower button, you actually get a longer version of the animation, which ends with you gaining all 3 empowered states at the exact same time. This is super useful to stock up on everything all at once, but it is quite hard to find a time to actually be able to do it. It's not like you can't find ways to empower all of your specials at the same time, especially if your opponent is being very nice and letting you do it at the other end of the screen without pressing a button or running at you. Thank you! But if you want to do it during combos or an Oki, you're probably going to have to give something up. Empowerments are a pretty big part of Jam's kit, though it's not the be-all end-all if you want to forego them and just go for some raw damage. I'll talk about what each of the empowerments do the moment we get to their special moves, starting with Ryujen. This is her 236K, more commonly known as Dragon Kicks. This is a super fast startup move that goes nearly full screen. It's pretty useful to scare the ever-living daylights out of the opponent, or used at the end of a combo in order to get the opponent to the wall. You can obviously Roman cancel it in the middle of a combo if you want to keep going, but generally you'll Ryujen them to the wall so that you can OTG or just charge up a stock and then go into a little bit of Oki. Considering there's a very fast option that goes pretty far, you can use it in neutral. However, if the opponent blocks it, you're negative like 35. So you're almost guaranteed to be punished. It also travels at an upward angle, so if the opponent is far away and crouching, there's a non-zero chance that it's just not going to hit them. So you need to think about when you're going to use it. You can use it in the air to actually add a little bit of movement to it, which is very useful for getting out of the corner against characters that aren't that fast and can't hit you at full screen. However, if you TK the move, it will basically always whiff on crouches. So please be very careful when just using this in neutral. The enhanced version of Dragon Kick is pretty simple. It increases its damage from a decent amount to a fuck ton. Like, holy shit, that's off for 2K! What the fuck am I looking at? Also unable to burst while being hit by the enhanced Dragon Kick. So, yeah, enhancements are pretty important. Because the way the guts work, you can't generally end a match with 2 enhanced Ryujens, but you will get very close. It's also just a good way to stop people from bursting at the end of a round. A 236S is Gekkirin. This is a slow-ish overhead attack that causes a hard knockdown on a hit. It's useful to mix the opponents up if they're looking for a different option that she has, or if you want to end the combo with a good knockdown. It's pretty useful on its own. It also has the ability to cross up if you're close to the opponent. Because of how late that version hits, you're able to get a small combo from it, which is pretty nice. When empowered, the move comes out a lot faster, putting it below 20 frames of startup. This version also comes with a ground bounce effect, meaning that you can get better combos on cross-up, basic combos on standard hit, or you can even extend combos if you use it in the middle of them. Both versions of the move are -1 on block, meaning that they're completely safe. We'll come back to this move in a second because it's a very interesting property it has when tied with another special move, but generally having access to a 20-frame overhead is extremely useful. Like, you are going to open up so many people with that, holy shit. A 236 heavy slash is Ryutsui. This is a low attack that moves Jam slightly forwards. This move's actually really good at ending strings since you're -4 on block, so unless you're point blank, you're gonna be safe. It's also really good for combos since it relaunches the opponent a little bit, meaning that you're able to continue a combo after using it. I would generally do something like close slash 2H or 6H into Ryujen, then do 2K 6H into Gekkirin. From there, it depends on if it's enhanced or not and what else you can do, but yeah. You can actually use this while in the air, and it will cause Jam to plummet to the ground and do a low attack, meaning it's possible to instantly transition from overhead to low attacks relatively quickly. Tying this in with Gekkirin, you can actually mix up the opponent quite a bit, since the only real tell that she's about to go for the low is the pose that she's doing, along with the fact that her feet are now on fire. The enhanced version of the attack leaves Jam at +6 on block. This gives her a close slash frame trap after the move with only 1 frame to work with, or you can true jail it with her 2K if you think that someone's going to try and DP. Unfortunately, Enhancement doesn't adjust her combo rounds too much, but are you really going to complain when you can make a move go from -4 to +6 on block? No! Why would you complain about that? Those are all of her enhanceable moves, but she still has a bunch of other things in her kit that we need to talk about. Such as her 214K, known as Chojan. This is a command jump that puts Jam in the air. If nothing is inputted, then she could go into any of her air normals afterwards. And she actually just gains access to all of her air movements, so you can do Chojan into air backdash if you really want to. Essentially, you can use this as a way to get a jump from any one of her normals. The most unique thing she can do with it, though, is cancel into any of the enhanceable attacks by pressing forward and their corresponding button. This adds a couple of frames to startups and changes the trajectory that the attacks go at. But this does have the added benefit of making Ryujen harder to distinguish from a normal Gekkirin, meaning you can use this to really mix the opponents up. Seriously, the amount of people that expect you to go for an overhead when you go into the air is a lot, and considering you can get a pretty basic combo with Roman cancel after hitting the low, yeah, I've won a lot of matches because of this. But it also increases the frame advantage of Gekkirin, going from a standard -1 to +7! Excuse me! That jails into her close slash! What are we talking about? You can actually use it in some corner combos off of 6H. However, if your opponent sees you using it too much on block, they can pretty reliably mash out of it. A 214S is Bakushu. This is a sliding movement dash that causes Jam to duck below most mid-hitting attacks as she approaches. This can be cancelled by pressing any button that isn't heavy slash, which causes her to skittle on the ground a little bit and go back into neutral. However, if you press heavy slash, you'll get Hyapo Shinsho, also known as Puffball. This is a big strike attack that's useful at the end of combos due to its massive lunge from Jam. You can also use it in neutral to try and jump scare the opponent a little bit. However, it's -8 on block. However, unless it's instant blocked, the opponent will generally be pushed so far away that they're out of Jam's range, meaning it's hard to punish her. Just be careful with the characters that you're using this against. The break itself can be cancelled into super moves if you're willing to counter input. By doing the super move input, pressing a break button, and then plinking the super, you can use break to actually extend combos that cause the opponent to continue flying forward. This is super useful under the right conditions and gets you a bunch of movement and can even break the wall from pretty far away, thanks to one of her supers that we'll get onto later. This is also just a super useful move in neutral. You can use this alongside Dragon Kick to mix up your approach if you have the meter or you just don't care about living. Finally, her 236P is Hochifu. This is a unique parry move that doesn't actually come out on frame 1. Now, unlike Baikon's parry, this move doesn't come out until frame 5, making it closer to Angie's spin if we're entirely honest. When Gem uses this move, she goes into a unique parry stance that lets her parry any attack that comes her way, as long as that attack isn't a throw. After parrying any attack, she's able to press 6P and go into Go Shao, which is a fast invincible strike that's safe on block if it fails to connect. If it does connect though, it sends the opponent flying to the other side of the screen and returns the match to neutral. Jam doesn't have to go into this option though, and can instead return herself to neutral. She's not exactly plus if she does this, it kind of depends on whatever move that she actually parries. The opponent also doesn't lose access to any of their cancels, meaning that if they were to do a close slash that was parried, they could immediately go into a 5H. So if Jam doesn't decide to cancel, she's either going to have to block or get counter hit on the recovery. But if she does parry a super committal move from the opponent, then she'll be plus enough to actually start a full combo from it. Parry is super useful in a bunch of different situations. However, the most use I've got out of it is with spacing traps. Anytime the opponent has a big window where 5-frame jabs would technically beat it if only they were able to reach, works super well for Jam, since she can just parry that shit and kill them! Now onto her supers. Her punch super is, oh my god, Asanagi no Kyoku Shinki Kaiten. This is the replacement of her old puffball super. This is an attack that causes Jam to do a single strike that gives her all of her cards on hit or whiff. No invul means that this attack can be Roman cancelled as well, meaning that you can use it to combo afterwards. This is super useful to keep your pressure going after a wall break, since it will give you literally all of your cards. I've heard some people even try to use it in neutral or far ranges because it is super fast. In fact, it's way faster than just stocking your cards with the special. But, sounds like a good way to get yourself killed. Finally, her H super is Chokaku Korimon. This is Jam's only invincible move, in which she lunges forward and strikes you into the air, performing a giant whirlwind attack while hitting you to the floor. Super useful for ending combos, especially because it sends you absolutely flying. Jam goes so far across the screen with this attack, allowing you to break the wall from positions where it seems like you shouldn't be able to. Jam is a super high-intensity rushdown character that loves mixing the opponent up once she's in their face. However, she has very short normals, which cause her to have a relative hard time getting in. While she is able to use some moves to counterpoke the opponent, it's generally on her to make sure that she can get into the opponent's face to begin with by getting a good read with a committal move. Still, once you are in, she is very tricky to deal with, and she's able to stick to the opponent extremely easily, alongside mixing them up and keeping herself either safe or extremely plus on block while doing so. She's a super fun character. I've had an amazing time playing her so far. I can't wait to see how far we can push this character. If you want to see me play more Jam, you should come over to the Twitch, and you should subscribe to this channel. I've got a lot of plans with 2.0 coming out, so we're going to have a lot of Guilty Gear content on the channel in the near future. So subscribe to see it. Thank you all for watching. See you all next time.